Hi everybody, I'm Carlos, and today we want to introduce the Starknet Malaysia community, and I'm very glad to be here in Vietnam. I'm very happy for the invitation to come and talk to you guys about what are we doing in Malaysia, what's going on in the Starknet community there, and also we want to share about our hackathon experience in ETH. So about us, myself, Carlos Ramos, and CheeChuyuan. I am actually originally from Peru, but I am based in Malaysia, and I have been in Asia for like almost 6 years. Actually, I went to school in China. And so a little bit about the Starknet Malaysia community. I managed to get to know a Starknet back in DevConnect in Amsterdam in April, where I also met CheeChuyuan. And then I met Galron from Starkware in Miami at the hackathon, and he introduced me to the Starknet community, and he asked me to open a Malaysian community for a Starknet for builders. And that's when we started planning our meetups and workshops in Kuala Lumpur. So far, this is what we have done in Malaysia. We've hosted like a very first meetup here. It happened at the end of June. I was just back from ETH NYC, and CheeChuyuan helped me a lot to organize this event. We gathered around 25 builders of a Starknet to talk about what's a Starknet, what are secret rollups, and what are they offering us. And then we have hosted a few workshops at WeWork in Kuala Lumpur. And this is us here. All the workshops were more like builders focused. So we were writing more code and going through some of the hackathons experiences that we had. And CheeChuyuan also gave some Cairo workshops there. And then many more events that we're planning in the future. We're also planning to open some hacker houses in real life in Malaysia, not only for Starknet builders, but for everyone who is building in blockchain. So if you are a builder and you are also building on a Starknet, just feel happy to ping us on Twitter or reach out to me or CheeChuyuan, and we will be happy to host you in Malaysia. And then we want to share about a project that we built at ETHSO, which happened about a month and a half ago. And I was there with CheeChuyuan and other builders from Malaysia. We managed to make a team, and we inspire ourselves by a product from Austin Griffith from the Ethereum Foundation, which is Build Guild. And we decided to build something very similar because Starknet was just, it's still developing in terms of community. Like we wanted to give the opportunity to developers to go and submit their projects online and maybe get funded by some institutions or by other people who want to go and try to donate to these projects. So this is how it looks, our project. It was for ETHSO. And this is an overview. So this was the user registration. It allows users to submit their data, their socials, and they will have to go through some challenges, finish them, and then they will be able to submit their own builds. And at the end of the day, they will be able to participate in some voting rounds where they can get funded. And this is an overview of the Create project, where you submit your build, descriptions, repo URL, and other data that will go all stored into IPFS, and then you will be able to see it on our dashboard. Then I want to invite CheeChuyuan to talk about the voting mechanism for our project.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm CheeChuyuan, and I'm also from the Malaysian community. And like Carlos said, we are trying to build a community in Malaysia. So we welcome everyone, not only from Malaysia, to come to Malaysia, visit us, learn Cairo together. Not even Cairo, but blockchain and Web3 in general. That's what we really want. What I really want. That's my dream. So okay. Let's move on to a bit more technical things. When it comes to voting, a very popular word that comes into mind is quadratic voting mechanism. So what does it really mean? It means that when more people vote for a project, even though that the cumulative votes are not as much as to one big whale who is voted for a project, the small one will get matched to a greater amount of pool. This is basically how these weird-looking math equations explain it. I will break it down later, so don't worry about this thing. I'll break it down later in code, so hopefully that will make things much easier to understand. So yeah, just bear in mind that our voting mechanism has a matching round, and it's being matched by this QF formula. Do I go here? Yep. So yeah, this is how, before I move into the Cairo part of the code, this is how our code roughly looks like. We have a core part of the code, and this is where we, okay, basically what I want to say is that we store everything on Cairo. We don't have like SQL or anything, everything's on Cairo. So the read functionalities are all from the core functions. And we also have the user registry that stores the user that has been registered to the build guild, the Stark guild project. So once you have done that, you're able to perform actions such as you're able to create your own projects, create proposals and stuff like that, are able to vote as well. And the core function actually deploys a pool, and the pool is like a matching round. So it's like Gitcoin, right? There's always a new matching round. So this one will always like deploy a pool. We'll see how it's being deployed later. But yeah, just keep this picture in mind. This is how our contract structure looks like. We have three main .Cairo files smart contract. Oh yeah, so yeah, this is a snippet. We do have a lot of getters. So I just took one example as to how are we getting a list of stuff from the contract. Now, one thing unique, it's not going to happen in the future, but it definitely was when I was in IFSO, that there's no loops. So how do we do that? How do we list out a list of items that we want to get? How do we return a list? So I have like a general view function. It's called getAllPools. And then if you notice, I have this thing called the internal function. And this thing will basically consist of the recursive nature of us getting stuff from the loop. So we need to know the length because we need to know when to terminate the loop. So yeah, we need to pass in the length into here. And this info, it's the return value of this function. So it's actually an array. It's going to be an array, and we are going to allocate objects into this array, and we are going to pass it towards the end. So let's take a look a bit into the internal function. So this is it's pretty long. So this is the top half. We'll look into the bottom half later. So what actually that we need to do is that we need to know that we have the current index. It's going to be 0, and at first, and the total length we have already seen the total length that we need. If it's 10, then we know that we are going to loop it 10 times. And yeah, this is the thing that we want to fit in. We want to be able to push the object into the list, is ever-growing list, depending on how much that we want to query, and depends on the total length. And this is the terminating, because recursive, when it comes to recursive, the number one thing that will come to mind is that we need to have a condition to terminate the process. So when it hits 0, I will just return whatever I have over here, which is the length of the array, and also the array itself. So in Cairo, at least right now, when you return array, you need to return a length as well. So res and res underscore length, the suffix underscore length is needed. If not, the compiler will complain, it won't like it. So yeah, that's why we are doing this. And over here, you can see that this very complex very complex logic. I will go into this in detail, but I want you to draw your focus upon this line over here first. So notice that this is also the getAllPools internal line, whereby this is where the recursive actually happens. So each time the code comes to this part, it will increment index by 1, and it will decrement the length by -1. So let's say if the length starts from 10, it will slowly become 0, and then that means that we are getting all our items from the list. So okay, so now we have covered the recursive part. So what are these part over here? Now, as you can see, it's really complex. We are just getting like stuff from various structures, right? So one thing that we try to do, because in a hackathon, time is really something that doesn't come easy. So as backend, it's possible for maybe the front-end guy to query all these things separately. So that means he or she has to do like 3 times. But what I can do to make life easy is I can call them together, and I can create like this thing is like a DTO model. And I can just get what I want, append it to this DTO model, and just return this as a whole. So you can imagine that this is like a read info DTO model. It's only for reading. We are not using it for storing. It's only for us to transfer data out from this function. So yeah, this is how the DTO looks like. We have the address, the vote start time, and blah 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 blah. So this is one example of how how one of our details look like. So yeah, I have included the links here. It's very long, but yeah, you can. Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to get a share of the slide, but you can click into it to look at how we have a couple of detail models and how we do things recursively to get everything from as a list, so that we don't have SQL, but we're able to we're able to iterate to get data we want without having to query it multiple times. And I mentioned that we are deploying a pool from the core contract. So how do we do it? So in Cairo, there's something called the class hash or class hash or something like that. So the important thing is that we are getting this. Wait, hang on a minute. Let me see if I'm at the right slide. Yes. So we are. Wait, hang on. Let me. Yeah. So we need like the class hash right over here. So this thing is like. I always think that it's like something like a proxy, but it's not like proxy. It's instance of the hash of the class, and then we will call this function to instantiate the instance. So we need to pre-deploy this class hash by calling that, and then we need to pass on the hash and call, it will be called later, and to deploy a new pool each time this thing is called. That means that we are able to deploy the same logic over and over again just by changing the combinations of vote time, stream time, and so on and so forth that's required for a new pool. And yeah, this is how we do it. We call this deploy function plus class hash, the current sort, the constructor. Oh yeah, those are constructors. I forgot to mention about them. We increment the sort, and after it has been deployed, we save it to our current pool, so that we have a record of the pools that we have deployed. And now we have seen how do we read and how to deploy a pool. Let's look into I believe, the meat of the entire project, which is the quadratic voting mechanism. So let me recall that this is the complex looking equation. So there are two parts basically, this part and this part. So let's do not focus on the parts, but rather on this part. So it's a sum of square of some c. C is the contribution amount. So if I contribute like $5, it will be 5. And if he contributed $2, it will be 5 squared plus square of 5 plus square root of 2. It will sum together. And then I have to square the sum of the square root function. So how are we going to implement this one in Cairo? For that, I have a structure called accumulator that you can see. This is some c square root, square of some c square root. So these are the components that I will use to slowly construct the final result of this thing. So you can see I'm working towards that by having an accumulator. These are just for accounting purposes. So c is like the total amount of contributions, and c squared is the total amount of square root of contributions. Yeah, it's not that important, but this is the more important one for this function. And what actually happens is that we notice it's a process of accumulation. So that means the C adds up, and because there's no way for you to withdraw the C, so it always gets bigger. So there's no need for us to store C separately. We just need to always like add on to the current amount. So over here I have the current C, the current sum C, and I add it to the amount, and that will be the new sum C, which I'll be writing it to the current state. And I'll be doing the same thing for the square sum C square root, the sum C square root, and the sum C, and with each contribution, this thing will update itself. So yeah, and of course, I think I didn't mention what happened if the voter decides to increase the vote. It will mean it's also covered in the code, but I will not go through them right here. So because there's a bit more logic to explain, but this is the core of it. And now that was the right part. And the left part is the divisor. So that consists of the let's see, the total of sum c, square root sum c, and that will be the divisor, which is the denominator. And we will need to get the numerator, which is the total amount of funds that the entire thing gets. So once we have the left part and the right part, it's only a matter of combining them together. It is get match fund pool, and we perform this simple math of division and multiplication to get the final match fund, which is here, match, and divide by, I believe, this one. Let's see, where is it? Can't remember now. This guy. And I divide them by this one, divide by divisor. It's so complex that I forgot what I wrote. Yeah. Anyway, those are the things that once you have it, it's very easy for you to calculate like how much funds you get matched in a pool. So yeah, that's how it's being done. And one feature that I also want to highlight is that the withdrawing of the funds. So when the project ends and when you get the funds plus the match funds, you are not able to withdraw it like one go, right? Because we want to ensure that you have constant contribution. We want to have the ability to ensure that you actually work for your funds. So we are implementing this stream fund logic, whereby the funds will be slowly streamed to you over a period of time. And at the end of the period, you'll be getting everything. But at the beginning, you only get like probably 10% to 20% and so on and so forth. It increases linearly with time. So how do you do that? That is actually less complicated. So we need to store the start time, end time, that of the project. And once the project is ended, we will get the current time. Wait, hang on. This is the multiplier. Okay, yeah, this is the stream funds hang on, this is the percent, yeah, okay, sorry, we need to calculate the percentage first, and in this is in get time as percentage function, which we'll go through later, and then we will multiply the total funds by the stream percentage to get how much funds you're able to withdraw at that point of time. So, let's see, yeah, this is get time as percentage function, current time minus start time, divided by the denominator, which is the end time minus start time. So once the current time is greater than end time, you'll get 100% of the funds. The logic does not explain that, but we're actually doing that in the code. Yeah, so that's how we use time as a way to calculate the percentage of how much funds one is able to get at the point of time. So yeah, so basically those are the stuff that I really want to highlight in our project. Of course, it's not entirety of the code. It's pretty long. Those are the key parts that I want to highlight. We got like a read function. We got ability to quadratic funding, stream funds, and also to deploy new pools. So that basically covers a bit of this and that. And there are test codes all written in Cairo. We are using Protostar. And if for those who are interested, feel free to visit the GitHub link, and hopefully it can prove as a good reference. But I need to remind you that because this is written in an old Cairo version, so if you were to compile it using 0.10, which is the version now, it will fail, and definitely it will fail in Cairo version 1. So you need to do some manual conversion, or you can, I think, use the Cairo tool to do it. Yeah, so this is how, at the end of the day, how our process looks like. We develop our Cairo contract in Protostar because it's really fast to iterate the tests, right? And everything's written in Cairo. And we have a front end, and we have hard hat and DevNet because we only deploy in a local host for testing. So we definitely use a lot of hard hat and DevNet to simulate our local environment, and we have the front end to point to all these instances to get to talk, to interact with the contract. But yes, mainly through the DevNet. And then we go live in Alpha Goli and in our website. So yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. It's very new and things move really, really fast. So it's important that we always, when we see like an error, you need to like read the code, read the documentation to figure out why things break. It can be frustrating, I know, but that is where the fun part is, right? We figure things out and we get a sense of euphoria that, hey, I fixed this, and I don't think no one knows how to fix this. So let me share it to other people so that I can help other people. That's how we all learn and grow together, I believe. And thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's all for my talk. And me and Carlos and some of us from Malaysia, we are more than happy to have you visit us one day. Thank you. Do I accept questions? Or is that all? I think we can have one question, I guess. Are we questions? Anyone wants to ask questions? Anyone have any questions? I was crystal clear. for once. That's great. Anyway, for those who want to ask, or want to like get to know about this project, or want to get about Malaysia community more, or just want to mingle around with me, feel free to let me know. I mean, approach me in Telegram, Discord, or whatever, or later after the event. Anyway, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Carlos. I am from Peru. I'm based in Malaysia and I'm part of the Malaysian Starknet Community. And I'm very happy and very glad to be here today. Me and CheeChuyuan, which is also a person from the Starknet Malaysian community, to present. We're very happy to present here and explain what's going on in the Starknet Malaysian family these days. And I'm looking forward more events to happen in Vietnam. I'm very excited for what's coming in the Starknet ecosystem, and I'm looking forward to meet you again.
Hi everyone, my name is CheeChuyuan. I'm from the Starknet Malaysia community, and today I'm in Starknet Vietnam. Thank you, Starknet team in Vietnam, for inviting me over. I believe that Vietnam, I personally experienced that Vietnam is such a good country to be in. Good devs, good food, good culture, and everyone is so friendly. I'm so happy that I'm being invited here for this for today's meetup, and I can't wait to come back. Thank you.